When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it.
Who the fuck picked Steve Harvey as the representative for all things black? Steve Harvey, let's keep this shit funky. Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife. Yet, black people have anointed this motherfucker the oracle when it comes to black dating. This nigga wrote a book on dating. You on your third wife, homie? With all respect, why can't we pick a nigga that know what he's talking about?
Listen, Mary Harvey isn't holding back one single skeleton in Marjorie Harvey's closet, and I mean that. For years now, she's been firing back at Steve and Marjorie, labeling them nothing but bullies who worked overtime trying to shut her up and empty her bank account, all while she's been peeling back the layers on Marjorie's manufactured backstory. With all the information Mary's armed with now, she's convinced her entire life trajectory would have looked completely different if Marjorie hadn't slithered into the scene as Steve's paid companion and kicked her straight out of her own house. Look, we've all heard bits and pieces about Steve and Marjorie's love story for ages, but the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes just how much cash they must have poured into crafting that wholesome, family-first public persona they've been selling. Because honestly, based on what's coming to light, wholesome is the last word you'd use to describe them.
It's like somebody snapped their finger and there was no marriage between us, you know?
When we're talking about who got completely screwed over in their dealings with Steve Harvey, Mary Shackelford sits right at the top of that list. Their marriage ran from 1996 until 2005, and she found herself stuck right in the crossfire the exact moment Marjorie decided it was her turn to dig her nails into Steve and claim her slice of that celebrity pie and fortune. Mary crossed paths with Steve right after he'd walked out on his first wife and kids, convinced they were dragging him down from greatness. She had no clue he'd been married before and opened her home to him for years. Keep in mind, this was way before the fame and fortune rolled in, so it's completely fair to say Mary played a major role in building up his career. Even after they tied the knot and she discovered he had an entire other family hidden away, she reportedly stepped up to make sure they were taken care of and got Steve paying what he owed in child support. Mary and Marcia, Steve's first wife, actually maintained a pretty solid relationship. When Steve got the itch to launch his own comedy club but came up short on funds, Mary handed over $250,000 from her own savings to seal the deal and even handled all the interior design herself to keep costs down. Honestly, love will have you doing things common sense wouldn't. With their lives so intertwined and children in the mix, Mary felt rock solid about Steve and truly believed their marriage couldn't be shaken.
A family, you know, and I had someone that took up for me. I never was afraid because he was there. He was like the brother, daddy, uncle, everybody. And that meant a lot to me. And my family meant a lot to me. And he knew that because I told him about my family when I met him. And I was telling him about how important everybody was to me. I felt safe for the first time in my life. So I said to myself,
what Mary didn't see coming was that while she was over here feeling secure about Steve and their relationship, Marjorie had quietly worked her way back into the picture and was steadily building her influence over him. Now, if you ask Steve and Marjorie to recount their origin story, they'll feed you the exact same rehearsed fairy tale they've repeated a million times over. Marjorie showed up at one of Steve's early comedy shows, looking gorgeous. He spotted her in the audience, declared she'd be his wife someday, and according to them, Everything just fell into place from there.
So I came late, I came down front with my girlfriend. Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage. So we were sitting here, the stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to marry her.
But the real story of how Marjorie became Steve's wife is way messier than the version they're selling. After that initial meeting, she completely ignored Steve because he was dead broke, barely getting by, and Marjorie wanted absolutely nothing to do with that kind of struggle. Back then, Marjorie was running in circles with drug kingpins and hustlers and all kinds of questionable people. She was actually married to Jim Townsend, a heavyweight player in the Memphis narcotics world. Her involvement ran so deep that people started calling her Lady Heroin. Marjorie's reputation got so toxic that she had to quit the University of Memphis because she couldn't even show her face in class anymore. Once Jim got busted and locked up, Marjorie wasted no time moving on and married Jim's own cousin, Darnell Woods, and had Lori with him. Darnell was running an even bigger operation on the streets. But just like Jim before him, the feds eventually caught up with Darnell and hit him with an indictment. Suddenly, Marjorie had no degree, no income, and her whole illegal empire had collapsed. She realized that if she wanted to secure a life of wealth and stability, she needed to lock down someone earning legitimate money because she definitely wasn't about to be visiting anybody behind bars. That's when she caught wind of Steve's growing success and circled back to the same man she'd dismissed years earlier. Steve was riding the massive success wave from Kings of Comedy and shooting up through the entertainment world as one of the most loved comedians out there. But Marjorie understood that with his new celebrity status, she couldn't just walk up to him directly. So you want to know what she actually did? Marjorie allegedly got involved with Steve's bodyguard, Big Boom, and used that connection as her way in to get close to Steve. By the time she and Big Boom wrapped up, Marjorie had reportedly become Steve's side piece. Steve wanted to keep Marjorie content, playing the mistress role, and allegedly set her up with her own place and covered all her expenses. Whenever work required him to travel, Marjorie was right there with him while he fed Mary whatever excuse came to mind. But the more Steve catered to Marjorie, the more aggressive she became about demanding a bigger role. Finally, Marjorie stopped waiting around and sent Mary all the details about her affair with Steve. She even allegedly called the house when Mary was home, just to make it crystal clear she had no plans of disappearing.
The housekeeper, she brought it to me. And when she handed it to me, it was almost like that package burned my hand. I knew it was something crazy. I didn't want to look in it, but of course I had to look in it. So I opened it and I'm reading this letter. And the more I'm reading this letter and her wording is so defined, it was like somebody was rolling tape. Her verbiage about him, like how he spoke, the words he said, you know, how he walked in the room, everything. She was like painting a picture of him being...
Or whatever place they were staying at. I have zero knowledge about any house. The second Mary confronted Steve with the evidence, he went ice cold on her and cut off all communication immediately. Once he kicked off the divorce proceedings, she figured out real quick just how vicious Steve could turn, or how easily someone could pull his strings. Their divorce became this endless nightmare because Mary rightfully fought for what she deserved, and Steve and Marjorie refused to give her a dime of it. When he realized she wasn't backing down from her demands, Mary described how Steve and Marjorie retaliated the only way they knew how, by targeting her son. She said their son Winton kept coming back with marks all over his body, and she couldn't figure out if Steve was the one hurting him, or if Marjorie was doing it just to mess with her head. She even filed an official police report stating that Winton had returned from Steve's place covered in bruises. As soon as the police closed that case, Steve immediately turned around and filed for full custody of Winton. Because Mary couldn't afford the high-powered attorneys Steve could, she lost the battle. From that point forward, Mary barely got any time with her son and claimed that the custody arrangement gave Steve and Marjorie all the access they needed to completely destroy the bond between her and her child.
That financially, my life is in a shamble, that is absolutely true. But it's been like that since 2005. So
Why,
this is
though?
nothing.
But why is it in shambles?
Because we have a man of power and authority, and he used that in the court. In a small town in Texas, he was able to manipulate this entire situation to his benefit, and it does happen.
It gave him that.
Because I'm a nobody. You know, his lawyers came in, his team of lawyers and his entourage, and, you know, he's a man with the power. He's in 60 markets. He's written these books. You know, he's socially connected with the programs and Disney and all these type people. It's easy for him to come to court and say, oh, this woman has no job. You know, socially, she is of no significance. She has no moral support or no emotional support, which I did not have, because everyone shifted to his side of the table, so to speak, because at that moment I did become insignificant.
After years of Mary speaking her truth about all this, it seems like she's finally getting people to believe her. Somebody commented that everyone already knew Marjorie belonged to the streets, and the only person who thought he could reform her was Steve himself. Another person chimed in saying that people discussing Steve Harvey seemed to forget he ditched his first wife and children the minute money and fame started rolling in, cheated on his second wife Mary with Marjorie, then turned around and married her. This isn't about women, it's a lesson. If she's an angry woman, she's earned that right. She stood by him when he was nobody with nothing. So what's your take on all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, baddies.